Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Hello? Welcome to the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast. This is a show about Chicago Bears, the Atlanta Falcons, and craft beer. My name is Asif Lakhani, and my co-host is
Nabil Alani.
our super producer who's not here, shall not be named because he's not here. Shout out to Nader. How you doing, Nabil?
I'm chilling, dude. Chilling like a villain.
Can we say we're back in the studio?
We're back in the studio. I think you're about 6 feet away from me, so
Yeah.
6 feet-ish. At the right angle, I guess.
There you go. And, with enough of this beer right here, we might end up 6 feet apart on the floor or something.
I got the Lysol bottle to spray you down just in case.
Oh, yeah. And so you brought the beer today.
I did bring the beer today, yeah, and it's all over the place right now. So I did bring some Creature Comforts today. This is Everything Is a dry hop pilsner that's dry hop with Galaxy hops. So it's a pilsner, so it's like a very drinkable beer, but it's dry hopped, so it's like hoppy on top of the pilsner's taste, which sounded really interesting to me. That's why I wanted to go ahead and try this.
Oh, yeah.
You already took a sip of that, so you go ahead and let me know while I take a sip.
Yeah, no, this is a really good beer. First of all, Creature Comforts, Athens, Georgia. Shout out, Classic City, Dogs on Top. This is a great beer. You can definitely get the dry hop taste and craft of it, which is awesome. It's a pilsner, but it drinks more like an IPA in a sense, which I love.
I mean, it's very light. Like, this is pretty crushable. Really, I'm trying to find the ABV on it, but this is like really crushable. It's like a light hop to it. It's not hoppy to the point where it's like overbearing, and it's sitting at a gentleman's 5.2.
Oh, yeah.
So it's sessionable-ish.
Yeah, so I mean, your average IPA probably comes in with like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
roughly, so this is definitely more crushable, more sessionable, but it's got that IPA body, that IPA taste. So I really dig this
without
one.
being the IPA, so it's kind of like
it's a secret weapon right here.
Yeah,
cheat code beer.
It's just like the hoppiness that kind of like throws you off. Like, oh, what is this? And you're just like, oh wow, this is delicious. So yeah, this is really nice, really easy drinking,
crisp,
crisp, really mellow.
I love the can, Galaxy all over the can, green and white, very minty, fresh colors. And the last thing I want to say about this, which it also says on the can too, is like this is kind of a rare beer. Like they don't it says a rotating single hop series on the can.
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is you might see this in stores, but for a limited time only. It's not going to be something on their signature rotation, even though it certainly could be.
Yeah, it's a very unique concept because when you're thinking pilsner, you're not thinking hoppy. You're thinking more the beerish. It's a beer that tastes like a beer, right?
Right.
But then you add hops to it, and you're like, okay, this tastes different.
This tastes like craft beer.
Yeah, well, not even that. There are craft pilsners. I mean, like, hey, Halfway Crooks.
And that's what this is too. It's a craft pilsner.
Yeah, but the Halfway Crooks. I could be mistaken, but I haven't seen them do a hopped pilsner, which they could have. Not to say they haven't, but this is just like a unique thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's something that they would do. Yeah, essentially,
definitely.
Right? And no, this is a good beer. But what I meant by also the limited availability, if you see this, get it. It's good. Yeah. It's a good beer. Thank you for bringing this in, Bill. We got another one that we'll get into shortly, which is also another good one. But before that, we got to talk about some of the sports over the weekend, Bill.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, there's a lack of sports in general, but throughout this lack of sports time, we've been blessed, not blessed or what, with
definitely
The Last Dance and these documentaries have been coming out. I heard Be Water was awesome.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
I heard the Lance Armstrong one was actually really good too, but I haven't seen that yet. Mm-hmm. But there was one that I needed to watch.
That we needed to watch.
Ironically, it also took place during the '98 season,
right?
When the Last Dance was happening as well. So my hopes were high. It was the A Long Gone Summer, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, Long Gone Summer, the 30 for 30, ESPN.
On Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa on the home run chase for Roger Maris, and it hit the points. It lets you know what happened, lets you know who won the home run race and everything. But I gotta say, it was boring.
So that's interesting you say that because I actually disagree. I thought it was pretty entertaining film, maybe because, ironically enough, you talk about lack of sports, and we have had no baseball. So to hear the sound of a perfect home run is like maybe the best sound in sports. It is the best sound in sports, actually. And we haven't heard that at all from Ronald Acuna or from Chris Bryant or Javi Baez. Nobody this summer. And all we got in that documentary on Sunday was home run after home run after home run. So, like, I think just that in and of itself to give me that quench my thirst for the sound of a home run, because we haven't got one this summer. I think that helped. It was great to see the highlights. It was great to see the historical aspect of it, like old school Chicago, old school St. Louis. I mean, I didn't become a baseball fan until I moved to Missouri for college, right? And I mean, I always liked baseball, and I always liked the Braves, but I didn't appreciate baseball until I got to Missouri, and I was surrounded by a bunch of Cardinals fans who really are the best fans in baseball.
Is that why you wear jorts? Is that why you wear jorts all the time?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Homage.
Yeah. And, well, I just want to say because I didn't appreciate baseball then and understand it until I got to college in 2008, I do remember the home run chase and the race between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in 98. Like, I remember hearing about it, and I was a less than casual baseball fan. I was in elementary school.
Yeah, I think we were both like about the fourth grade maybe?
Third or fourth grade, probably third grade. And so, like, I just say that to have the context around that summer now and that season now that I'm older and I can understand it and appreciate it more, I think that also contributed to my liking of the documentary on Sunday.
Well, so, like, you know, you're bringing up points, you know, like, well, the highlights of the home runs. Yeah, they showed the highlights of Sammy or McGwire hitting a home run, but, you know, I don't know how closely you saw everything, but, like, yeah, they showed Sammy hit a home run, but then they would cut to a clip of, like, a high-definition Cubs fan wearing a Chris Bryant jersey for some reason. I mean, it looked very, like, spackled together.
Well, there were definitely some spots in the documentary where I was like, okay, is this a modern footage that's integrated with the old school footage? Which, I mean, I guess once you get over that, though, and it was cool to see the modern day context of it all, because, you know, you and I have been to Wrigley Field. It's where this podcast actually really came to form, that day in Chicago.
But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. I just didn't think it was... I watched a 2-hour documentary, and one, I wasn't entertained. Two, I didn't think I got anything out of it.
So what did you want to see?
Well, one, I wanted there to be more steroid talk. They didn't talk about steroids until an hour and a half.
Until the very end.
And then they barely touched on it.
Yeah.
We literally heard more about from the groundskeeper guy who found the ball than about steroids. And where steroids is probably the number one character in this documentary.
So
they also kept talking about Ken Griffey throughout the documentary. But Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't there. Now, get it. You may not be able to get Ken Griffey Jr. for the documentary. At least get someone from the Mariners or someone who was firsthand for Griffey's side of the story to be there.
So, all right, two things, and I don't want to spend too long on this.
We can move on after this, definitely.
But, okay, one, the steroid thing. So Sammy Sosa addressed it at the very end, and Mark McGwire did too. And I guess at one point they both said, like, yo, what we were doing then was, like, legal. It was normal. I don't know how true that is or whatever. And, like, obviously... It wasn't
against the rules. That's true.
And so I think that's one thing for them to be like, well, it wasn't against the rules when we were doing it, one. And then two, I also think it's like no matter what, it's like when you talk about Michael Jordan, you got to mention Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan said that himself. So when you talk about Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, the steroid thing is always going to follow shortly after. People know, but we know that as fans, we know that. And I think, so I just what did you want to hear them say? Did you want to hear them grill them about it? Because they just said, like, look, it wasn't illegal what we were doing then.
Right. I mean, but so what was the reason you watched The Last Dance? It wasn't to just to reminisce on the
for me it was, but yeah.
But there was so much you learned that you didn't know about.
Right.
Oh, Rodman went on vacation in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Rodman was doing this. Scottie Pippen didn't play because he wanted to fuck up his summer. I mean, there was no insights. The only teammate that I saw that was on there was Kerry Wood, and you saw Tony La Russa, the manager.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any other insight on the players. There was no one saying, oh, yeah, you know, hey, Sammy would literally come in 2 hours before, and he would do batting practice before batting practice just to make sure he gets home runs.
But
you know,
was that true?
I don't know. I'm just making something up. But there was... I didn't gain any information.
Okay. So all right, and then I'll just punctuate that by saying I think it was cool to actually hear from them more so than anybody else. They got to tell their story. They got to talk about their experiences themselves. And like that's so rare and hard to find, because so often when you hear about like a Ken Griffey, if he was mentioned in the document, we'd be hearing about Ken Griffey Jr. from somebody else who has a firsthand account. But in the cases McGuire and Sosa, we heard about them firsthand from themselves. So I like that. And with Griffey, I think they say he got injured like midway through the race, or like, you know, he was injured at the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think he just fell off. I don't recall.
But I only say that to say like he didn't make it to the finish line, unfortunately. And he's probably the most perfect swing in baseball history.
And between the three, he's the best player of the three. So
among the three. But yes, and they had one about him on MLB Network. Anyway,
I think it's coming out this weekend actually.
Or yesterday.
Somewhere around there.
Like
speaking of baseball, though, so there was some news today that came out. Baseball might be getting closer to getting a season.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like a 60-game season.
And the bill, just tell me when and where, bro. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So just for some context on this, Darren Ravel was saying like it would be a 60-game season, and a lot of players would still be losing a lot of money. 9 players will lose at least $20 million. Starting with Mike Trout, who would have a $13.9 million this year instead of 23.7. Garrett Cole going from 22.7 to 13.3, and so on. We can talk about how much people are going to lose money or whatnot, but I just got to ask you, Asif, like, let's say baseball's back.
Okay.
How much are you going to watch? Like, just with baseball going up against NBA, MLS, hockey, and not even that, but just the nonsense baseball has put everyone through for the past, 2 months. How much do you really want to watch baseball right now?
No, that's a great question. I mean, to be honest, I think you said it very well the last time we were in the studio, which is that we don't you don't care in a sense. We have enough other stuff coming. So it's like, if I get it, great. If I don't get it, doesn't matter to me anymore because I have something else. So that's kind of how I feel now. I mean, I would love to watch the Braves make a run and win the title. I think that's what I want to see from baseball is like, okay, don't just give me 60 games so y'all can get paid, because that's a slap in the face to all of us.
That's literally what's happening.
But what I'm saying though is like, I need playoffs. I need a World Series. I don't just need 60 games. I need a World Series. If you give me 60 games without the World Series, you're literally doing it to stuff your pocket with $1 million check that most of America isn't going to get this year. You can go fuck off. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can go fuck off. But if you're going to give me a World Series and give it like, okay, hey, play 60 games, 12-game playoff, whatever, then I'm invested, because I'm like, okay, I can still say the Braves are World Series champs in 2020. That's what I want to say.
So let me ask you that question. So the Braves haven't won their World Series is what, 95, 96? Mm-hmm. Let's say the Braves and the city of Atlanta, outside of Atlanta United.
The Atlanta Falcons.
Outside of the Atlanta United, and I don't know how big of, I know MLS is huge over here, but it just depends how big of you count it as a sport. The Atlanta hasn't won a championship since 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
What would your thoughts be if the next championship came in this?
I don't care. I'll take it. If the Lakers win the championship this year, I'll take it. If Duke wins the championship this year, I'll take it. Like, even though it's an abbreviated COVID asterisk season, like if Astros fans are willing to celebrate their World Series, even though they cheated on record, they cheated, and we're going to give them credit for it, then I don't see any reason why I shouldn't take credit for winning in the shortened season when we didn't cheat. The circumstances were out of our control, and we still won because we came prepared and ready. 1, and then 2, I mean, I'd also think I think, that's it. I'd probably add another thought, but I mean, that's my thing. It's like, I'll take the win as long as it's earned properly and earned right. So that's kind of my take on that.
Gotcha. I'm only asking because I'll never know at this point, but I don't know how I would have felt if the Cubs broke their curse on an abbreviated season like this. Maybe we have to ask with an Indians fan, because they're the biggest curse left now. You know what I mean?
Debatably, 28-3 was bad.
Well, I meant the largest drought
at least for one franchise
for baseball.
Yeah. Which is fair, which is totally fair. And the other thing, the thing that I forgot actually is if UCF is going to consider themselves a national champions, twice.
I consider UCF the national champion.
Right. So then the Braves can definitely win in the World Series in the abbreviated season, and it still counts as far as I'm concerned. But the other thing I want to mention about baseball and 30 for 30, just real fast to punctuate, I think because that's pretty much all the baseball talk is. 1985, Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right? And it was an 80-45 season or 85-86 season?
85-86.
So Michael Jordan's second year in Chicago, Walter Payton and the Bears win the greatest Super Bowl winning team of all time, arguably. Yeah. And then 1998, Michael Jordan and the Bulls win their last championship. And then Sammy Sosa goes on his home run. Like this sandwich that the Chicago has is actually amazing.
It's a pretty phenomenal
Super
sandwich.
Bowl, greatest basketball player of all time, greatest athlete of all time, and then one of the thing that resurrected baseball.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, from the South Side, leaving during the strike, Michael Jordan leaving the Sox, going back to basketball, winning 3 championships, to the North Side of Chicago. Hey, Sammy Sosa was a big reason why baseball resurrected to popularity. Yeah. So I just thought that was cool. It's interesting how Chicago does that. We love that city. I love this beer.
And we did just crack open another beer. This is Ghost in the Machine from Parish Brewing out in New Orleans. I think they might be a little outside. Well, I keep confusing them. Is it Louisiana? Yeah, a little outside of Louisiana. I mean, a little outside New Orleans in Louisiana. There we go. I always like flip the city and the state.
Broussard, Louisiana.
There we go. Say that with a New Orleans accent, Asif.
Broussard. Hey, man, this is a great beer. I had this, on draft from a growler at Oak Street Bottle Shop in Roswell, hoping to do a comedy show with them. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Shout out to our boy.
Definitely.
But then this is a good beer. I'm happy you brought this one back as well.
And this is actually brought to you by Modern Hops. So, hey, Modern Hops is the one that helped break down the barrier between Louisiana and Georgia to bring us this Ghost in the Machine.
Which is actually who was also responsible for me getting it the first time.
There we go.
Shout out Eric, shout out Modern Hops. This is a good beer.
And you can pick up both of the beers you're drinking today at Exhibit Ale in downtown Lawrenceville.
Yeah.
Let them know that the podcast sent you. It'll do absolutely nothing but make you smile. So.
Right. Hell yeah. All right. We have baseball draft. We'll just mention that we got some guys.
Yeah. The
Falcons
got
Falcons. The Bears did.
The Bears?
Oh, shit.
The Cubs got Ed Howard, who's a local kid from Chicago. He was on that Jackie Robinson Little League team that...
a linebacker, right? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, Ed Howard's a shortstop. He probably won't be up for about 3 years, but, he's a young prospect. He came straight out of high school, so that's what I'm excited about. The Braves, on the other hand, they got a left-handed pitcher. Let me just confirm the name.
This kid from Wake Forest, I believe, Jordan something.
Jared Schuster.
Left-handed
pitcher. Now, see, what's interesting about this pitcher is that since the Braves are drafting so late in the draft, they were probably going for immediate need. So you actually may see Jared up later on this year, I feel like, just because he's a left-handed pitcher who throws heat. And, if the Braves make a run in the potential season, if it happens, in the potential playoff, if it happens, young arms that can throw fire, throw heat, they're needed.
Yeah. Especially left-handed, too, which is great. Yep.
So just keep an eye out, Braves fans. You may see this kid quicker than you think.
And is he a first-round pick?
A first-round pick.
So he's got the talent.
Yeah.
The most talent of anybody else who's coming up right now. Like
not necessarily.
Not most, but he's a first-round talent.
Yeah. The thing is, the Braves have a deep farm system, so he's probably not even in the top 5 of your prospects. But he has an arm, and he has a young arm, and he's an arm that hasn't been used in a while because there was no college baseball season this year. So he's a young, fresh arm. So what you could do, you can just use that arm for whatever you want at this point.
Isn't it ironic how the time off probably actually helps baseball players more so than any other sport because they need the rest and they need to be durable?
I mean, I actually think the time off right now, if anyone that it helped, it was LeBron.
Yeah.
I mean, because remember, LeBron used to take little mini vacations in the middle of the seaon, and
Yeah, he never went to Vegas and didn't show up, though.
I mean, he went to Miami on a banana boat, so
for 4 years.
Yeah. But hey, now that we're talking basketball with LeBron,
I think that was the next thing anyway. Right?
Yep. Good segue. Paul Bart segue over here. So basketball's coming back soon. There was one thing that did happen though last week. Kyrie Irving did lead a conference call with I think about 80 different NBA players.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul was on there. The commissioner of the Players Association, the non-basketball player of the Players Association, he was on the call as well, and he was saying that now is not the time to bring basketball back. Now we need to build on the momentum of what's going on in the
Black
world
Lives Matter
with the social climate. Black Lives Matter. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you think it's time to bring basketball back? Do you think that players should be like, no, we need to let this other thing build? Because they're saying that that the NBA will just be a distraction for this instead of helping get it where the momentum is taking it right now.
So and I don't want to speak on this too much, and I'm sure you agree in the book, because this isn't our issue. I mean, it's a black issue, and while we're minorities and we're people of color and we support the movement, we ourselves cannot truly relate.
Right.
So, but as fans of the game of basketball and as fans of black people, as family members, friends, colleagues, whatever, people, we see them with respect. My answer is just like, I don't think it can hurt in the sense of like, imagine if the NBA players were allowed to wear Black Lives Matter t-shirts or warm-ups, and you had that, you don't have fans in the stands, but you have flags and you have artwork or banners that say Black Lives Matter, I can't breathe. Or, hey, maybe they're allowed to take a kneel if they want, or maybe they stand up for the national anthem and say like, we're citizens of this society, and like we might be standing for the national anthem, but read my shirt. It says I can't breathe. It says Black Lives Matter. So I think it's a great way to do the promotion and the visibility of it out there. And maybe it is a way to get people, people are anxious. People are tired. People don't have anything to look forward to. And while civil and social change is something to look forward to, and hopefully we do get it soon, it's not something that happens 60 days in advance. Like the NBA now knows, okay, July 13th is coming back. Everybody should get civil and social rights, and unfortunately our society it's ingrained in some people's society. So like it's not going to change in 60 days for them. It's a 60-year movement that we are embarking on with this generation in 2020, and hopefully less, significantly less, but it's certainly not 60 days. So I think that them coming back could help the movement because they can use their platforms for society and justice like they do. However, the flip side of that is when you say shut up and dribble, and then these guys go back to dribbling, but they don't have to shut up. And I think that's the difference, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I support it, and, it's it gives something people to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, selfishly, I want the NBA to come back.
Right.
I want baseball to come back. I want hockey to come back. Guys, don't tell people I'm not a huge fan of soccer. I want MLS to come back. I just want to be able to. It's a slice of normal life coming back, which is what everyone needs at this point. Now, do I think that the NBA coming back could take the momentum away? I think it can.
Okay.
But at the same time, I feel like the players who want to help the movement, and I think everyone's on board with that. I don't think any player is not on board with it.
But frankly, there's no reason for anybody to not be on board. But
except for that one NASCAR driver, but forget
that.
Yeah. Because no one knows who he is anyway. But yeah, so the players, they could actually use this opportunity to help. I'm not saying to bring awareness to it, because at this point, if you're not aware of it,
what are you doing?
I don't know where you've been. But instead of, hey, LeBron is arguably the most powerful person in sports. Right? He could definitely make something happen. He could be like, listen, I'm going to wear this Nike shirt.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Everyone who buys it,
donate money.
90% of it goes to donations. Whatever. Those Nike shirts cost
I'll buy one
anyway. So.
Right. I'll buy one.
And it can make a movement. And like the one thing, like, okay, so Jordan did say this, but Jordan never said this, on the record. It was just a conversation he was having with I believe Scottie Pippen and someone else, where he says Republicans buy Jordans as well.
Right.
You know, I don't think LeBron's about that. You know what LeBron does. LeBron's opening schools. LeBron's doing this. So, do I think LeBron's going to do something to make something happen on this? I do. And
you talking about with the social justice movement?
Social justice movement. And not only that, but you have international stars. Like, hey, Luka Doncic is. Did the Mavs make it? The Mavs didn't make it, did they?
I don't think so.
Damn.
But either way, though, there are, like, Giannis is Greek.
Yeah.
Right. Giannis is a perfect example.
Examples. Giannis, international.
Black Lives Matter.
Same thing could happen.
Warm up, headband,
there
whatever.
You go. And he could have more of an international pull for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, yes, it could move momentum just because ESPN won't be talking about Black Lives Matter as much.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like, if you're getting your Black Lives Matter news from ESPN, that's not the best place to get that news from.
Debatably, just in the sense that you got to look at the power and influence that these people have, and you talk about meet people where they are, and it's a leadership thing that I had to learn a couple weeks ago, and I've applied to meet people where they are. So it's like, okay, you want me to shut up and dribble? Meet me at the basketball court. Look at what I'm wearing. Look at what I say before the game. Look at what I say after the game. Look at what now, because I'm wearing this Black Lives Matter warm up. Go to the grocery store. Go to where, just go around town and look at kids in white neighborhoods, black neighborhoods. They love LeBron James. They're wearing the same shirt that I wore on TV. You want to meet me? You want me to shut up and dribble? Okay, meet me where I am, or I'll meet you where you are on the basketball court, and then see my message go from there. So I think LeBron's been a big push in making this happen. It's ironic that Kyrie is pulling him back, probably because Kyrie knows that, LeBron's about to win this thing if he gets going.
See, the other thing, and I don't feel in place to throw this out there, but at the same time, I think Kendrick Perkins said that the reason this may have came up is because Kyrie didn't make the tournament.
Oh, I mean, and because Kevin Durant said he's probably not going to come back anyway.
Well, the Nets didn't make the tournament.
Yeah.
So he's out.
Well, they were talking about KD could come back, but yeah, if they didn't make the tournament, then that's that. So I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, Kyrie Irving can go out in March while everybody else plays.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So that's a great point. I think we just want to finish up with some football talk. What's up, Nibo?
Before that, just want to say MLS is also going to be in Disney World. I don't know this worldwide world of sports. I don't know how it works exactly, but MLS is going to have a 24-team tournament in Disney World as well. That's going to be interesting. I know you're going to be watching Atlanta United.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be watching, whatever sports I can get at this point. So I may watch some United. I may watch some Fire just to, keep a consistency. But let's see what happens.
And a question for everybody to answer at Bears, Birds, and Brews is, let's say we get NBA back. I mean, NBA, we're going to get back in the proper season. We'll get baseball back in proper season. We'll get MLS back. And WNBA is coming back for 22 games, too. Shout out to them. They got it together.
Oh, yeah, and hockey as well.
Yeah, they got it together. So shout out to all those fine women and also the Canadians, I guess, for getting it together in hockey. But are we going to see more of, instead of regular season playoffs, are we just going to see more like play-in tournaments? And it's like, we'll just have, I don't know. It's not a question we need to answer. You can answer it at Bears, Birds, and Brews. We'll talk about it next week if we get your thoughts. But you look like you have a thought on that.
I was just going to say that, man, COVID really killed NAB Saves Hockey. Like, it definitely killed
Or maybe it's what's going to, maybe you're the vaccine. Maybe NAB Saves Hockey is a vaccine, bro.
We'll see.
Optimism, positivity, perspective.
Got some football tidbits, nothing like a true news. Mitch Trubisky did speak for the first time since the Nick Foles trade. He did bring up how he was initially pissed about the trade, not because the Bears made a trade for a quarterback, but more because, he thinks it's his team and he should own it.
So he's pissed the Bears made a trade for a quarterback. Yeah.
So I still think Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback day one, but, I still don't know how training camp, everything's going to go. So, I'm still excited to see what's going to happen. A couple of coaches spoke. John DeFilippo, the Bears' new quarterback coach, spoke about how he's excited by Nick Foles and he still sees potential in Mitch, but he does see a lot of room for improvement. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think if Mitch Trubisky wanted the job and he believed that he could play up to the potential of a starting franchise quarterback that got drafted over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes,
couple of good guys. They're okay.
Some Super Bowl winners, some potential MVPs. Then he could have played like that, or he should play like that. And maybe this is what he needs to do it. We'll see what happens. I think with COVID, he definitely has more rapport with the receivers and
Yeah.
stuff. Even though Foles knows the playbook from back then,
Yeah.
the chemistry with the players and the timing favors Trubisky. So he's
Yeah.
still in a position to come out ahead. He shouldn't be upset.
The other thing is that right now, Mitch Trubisky is having workouts every week with Bears receivers and running backs, Allen Robinson, Tariq Cohen, Cole Kmet, etc. But Nick Foles is sitting at home in California, I believe, because his wife is currently pregnant. So that's like, hey, mazel tov. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Nick Foles got paid just for signing, right? As far as I know.
I mean, Nick Foles was already paid. His
Right.
contract was adjusted to make it easier on the Bears. But yeah, he's due 3 years, $24 million, which could only be more if he plays well.
Right. So I don't think he's worried, but congratulations to them. And then speaking of money, my quarterback.
Yeah, your quarterback's doing some great things out there. Speaking of we've been talking about this for a little bit. You go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, yeah. So Matt Ryan, rest in peace to Rayshard Brooks, who got shot in Atlanta last weekend, but also to everybody else, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, George Floyd, I mean, Sandra Bland, the list goes on. But so Matt Ryan started a Black Lives Matter movement GoFundMe for the city of Atlanta, and he put some money in. Dan Quinn put some money in. I think before the show started recording, I checked, and Matt Ryan had raised $1.2 million of his $2 million goal.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I mean, it's great to have a quarterback who understands that football is a game and there are things that are bigger than football in life, and Matt Ryan is showing that, and hopefully karma pays off for the Falcons. Since, my bold prediction, we don't have, I guess we kind of have an SP's prediction, but my bold prediction is this: the Falcons are going to win the NFC South. Book it. Putting that on record right now.
I think you already did that earlier with that 8-8 record, didn't you?
Well, I said 8-8. I don't know if I said that they'll win the South, but right now I'm going on right. The Falcons are going to win the NFC South.
All right. Are you changing your record?
I guess I would have to, but I'm not gonna put myself in a bind. I'm just gonna say the Falcons are gonna win the NFC South, and the Tampa Bay Tom Brady's are gonna be the wild card team. One of the wild card teams.
With the 8-8 record.
Whatever. Falcons winning the South, baby. Book it.
There we go.
Nabil, you got anything to add? You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, we could wrap it up. Just one thing. I think they're thinking about potentially making the preseason 2 games instead of 4, just because of the whole COVID and everything. I think that'd be a good move as well, just because preseason's useless, except for the 2 games apparently. So,
ironically enough, having 4 games in preseason might help people get adjusted to the fanless atmosphere, and the conditioning to be out there for 60 minutes. But yeah, let's just play ball.
There we go.
Let me know when and where I'm ready. If y'all want to know when and where, it's at Bears, Birds, and Brews on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Not Facebook, but Instagram and Twitter at Bears, Birds, and Brews. Nabil Lalani, Asif Lakhani.
Parish Brewing, Creature Comforts. Check out these beers. It's a good time. Thank you for listening.
We out.